Okay. Whoa, overloaded. That doesn't sound good. I hope this works. Anyways, hi, welcome back. We're gonna go make some constructors. I've already written them to speed this up, so let's just jump in and take a look. Whoa, down here. Nope, there. Alright, so we have to make 3 different constructors. So let's just refresh our memory. We have to make a default constructor, a constructor that takes 2 string arrays, and a copy constructor. So let's see what those look like. So first of all, here's our first constructor. It's a default constructor. All constructors will follow a certain format. They'll always be public, just about always. Their name is the same as the class name. And then there's no return type. There's no void or int or string or anything. They don't return anything. And for the defaults, the way you know that this is the default constructor is because it takes no parameters. Simple as that. So it's up to you what you instantiate for your instance variables, because that's ultimately what the constructors are supposed to do. Pardon. The constructor's jobs are to fill our instance variables with values. Get them ready. Get them starting with the right stuff. So for the default, we're just going to make 2 empty lists. And all you got to do is instantiate the words list and the definitions list, and you're done. And that's just a default choice that I've made. It's not necessarily the best choice or anything, but it's a pretty common choice for the default constructor to do the bare minimum. The next constructor is not quite done yet. I'm leaving it open for a bit of an exercise for you to work on, because it's got some juicy code to write in there. But I'm going to show you a functional version of it that will let you move forward on the assignment, and then you can come back to adding in some of those good extra things that will make it worth full marks. So this is the constructor that takes 2 arrays, and the idea is that the first array is an array of words, the second array is an array of definitions. It's going to add those into our instance variables, our word list and our definition list. So again, we have to instantiate, and you might wonder, hey, wait, I did that already. It's right here. But remember, these are separate constructors. Only one of these will run. So if you're running this constructor, that one didn't happen. So you do have to do that step again. So we're going to instantiate our words and definitions lists so they're not null and they're ready to add. I got a little bit of error checking involved, and here's the code that's going to kind of dump the words in. It's not perfect because it's not checking for alphabetical order, but it will do a reasonable job. First of all, I do a check to make sure that the length of the word array and the definition array is the same. It doesn't guarantee that the definitions and the words are matched up correctly, but I'm going to leave that open for somebody else or a different programmer outside of this class to worry about that. I'm going to worry only about that they match in length, so I can guarantee that every word will have a definition, if not necessarily the correct definition. So if that is true, if they are the same length, then I just go ahead and run through it with a for loop. And I'm just starting at 0 and going to the length, the one before the length, and going up by 1. And all I'm going to do is add, word 0, word 1, word 2, word 3, word 4, and so on. Just add them in, and add in all the definitions as well. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is, actually there's a couple things we could do to improve that. We probably should make sure it's 2 lowercase. I think that's part of the assignment definition. I'll give you that one, 2 lowercase. That will make sure that we're adding only lowercase letters. I don't think the definition matters. It's just the words that have to be in lowercase. Definition's allowed to have capital letters. So what's wrong with this, and what do you still need to do? So basically, as I said a second ago, we're just adding them in the same order that they arrived. But that could be coming in any order. The person that sent this list does not necessarily put it in alphabetical order. So this doesn't quite work. But you know what? It's pretty good. It's almost good enough. It's just missing the alphabetization. And if you got stuck on that, you know what? Like that's a problem to solve for sure. But you could probably go and do the rest of the assignment with this kind of busted, actually not busted, perfectly functional constructor, and just go from there. So if you're not sure about how to use compare to, the previous video had some stuff about that. But basically, you can't just add the word willy-nilly. You're gonna have to search for the right place to add the word. And you're going to have to use some kind of loop to loop through your words array list and find the right place to add it. You're probably going to have to, have some sort of additional index variable, and you're going to use this version of the add method where you can add it to a specific place that kind of bumps the other ones down. So there's got to be some kind of inside loop in here that's going to loop through words and find the place, the index where it's you've gone too far, and you can insert the word into there in terms of the alphabetization. Again, if you left it like this, it would be functional and it would be fine. And I think for the rest of I don't want to spoil that exercise. I think it's a good exercise. So for the rest of this video, I'm just going to let you work with this for now, and you can solve that problem later. Okay. So there you go. There's our almost done constructor that takes in two arrays and loads them in. You got a little bit of work still to do on that one. Good luck on that. We have a third constructor that we need to write, and that's the copy constructor. I have made a typo in the assignment that I fixed now. Sorry about that. But basically, we're going to make the VocabList we're constructing a copy of the VocabList object we send as a parameter. And this is tricky, so watch out for this. I'm going to show you the answer here. But the answer is not the important thing. Why the answer works is the important thing. This is totally very juicy test question, guaranteed. So I'm just going to talk about a possible wrong answer before we go any further. You might remember when we did a copy constructor for fractions, we did something like this, no pun intended. This.n equals, f1.n, or whatever the fraction's parameter name was. That was fine, that worked great, because n's are ints, and when you use the equal sign with ints, that's just how they work. You copy the value. But we're not working with ints anymore. We're not working with primitives. We're working with objects. And we want to copy over a list. So if you were to do something like this, words, this.words equals, is it VL? Yeah, VL dot words. That would seem like you're doing the same kind of thing, right? But it doesn't work. What happens is, because words is an array list, it's an object. What you're actually doing is getting the instance variable to point to the same list as VL points to. So you haven't made a copy at all. You're just linking them together. So the assignment operator, the equal sign, with objects, links two objects together, or links two identifiers to the same object. That's not what we wanted to do. What we wanted to do was make a copy, not link them together. So how do you do that? So that's where our answer is. So I'll comment out this, and let's take a look at the actual answer. And I'm going to simplify it a bit. This is looking a little bit ugly. But you can see that we've got this .clone method here. It returns a copy of a list. So when I say vl.words.clone, this is going to return a copy. And that copy is fine. We can assign that to words because it's a separate object than the actual words array itself. But you might wonder, like, oh, what was this thing here that I got rid of? So I'll bring it back. This is a casting operator. I don't know for sure what's the reasoning, but clone returns not an array list of strings. It returns an generic object. The type is actually object, which we haven't gotten into yet. So what's that all about? Basically, words is an array list of strings. Clone returns something called an object. So I use this casting operator to cast whatever this was in whatever form it was returned into this form to make that assignment correct. If you don't have it in there and you try to compile, it'll notice that it doesn't return the same type as this thing. It says specifically incompatible types, cannot convert object to array list. So that's why we need that in there. This casting operator will convert that object into an array list of strings. And because it actually is an array list of strings, that will work without problems. If we tried to convert that into an array list of integers, for example, that wouldn't work because this isn't an array list of integers. So, there you go. What do you need to know about this for these assignments? Well, basically you need this for this assignment. The important thing to understand for the unit, however, is to understand why does this line of code not work. I mean, you can just rewind to go back and listen to me talk about it again. But it all has to do with the fact that these are objects, not primitive variables. And so assignment links the variables to the same object. It does not make a copy of the object. And what you need is something like .clone, to make a copy. There's another way you could have done this, and maybe some of you did it. You could do something like this for loop. You could loop through this object's words list and just add everything into, I shouldn't use the word this. You can loop through VL's, your parameters word list, and add them to this object's word list one at a time. That would totally be fine. That would be 100% good. And honestly, clone, I don't know how it works honestly underneath everything. I can't guarantee you, but it probably does something similar. So you're not really saving yourself some programming, but it's this is a bit of a headache. This looks a little bit ugly, this casting. So your choice, you can do either one. Okay, so the accessor methods is coming in the next video, but we've made our constructors now. So what? What does this do for us? So, we can now make our lovely VocabList objects, but, that's about all. And that's pretty lame. That's not a lot of stuff. We've done a lot of work and we're not getting much out of it. So now let's go and make our driver class, and we'll start testing to see if these things work. But like I said, not fantastic. Oh, hello. Why is my hair getting worse every video? Actually, if I could just pause for a second. I'm actually doing this video. This is the third time I'm doing this constructor video. Oh boy. Anyways, thanks for your patience. I think my hair gets worse every time I do it, but that's good. We'll do a hair tutorial. Maybe you guys can help me with that. Anyways, I wanted to go back to this here. Oh, hello, look at that. So I have made a vocab driver. It's actually got a little bit more in it. But I just wanted to show you what that looks like. And at this point, what is it that we're supposed to do with this driver class? So remember, the driver class is for us to test whether this vocab list does anything, or is it broken, or we want to find out if it works. So we kind of aren't quite there yet, but I wanted to show you what the vocab list driver should look like at this point, so you sort of know what you're doing. So here we go. I'm going to open it up. And I've sort of done some stuff in here already. So here's me testing the default constructor. So, I just make a vocab list object, I call it v1, and then I call the default constructor. How do I know this is a default constructor? There's no parameters. And then I would like to print it out. However, this won't work right now. This actually can't, it will print something, but it'll print some gobbledygook. So it's just some random text, which is actually the memory address of the object, but not useful information to us. So this was a goal we eventually want to have happen. But this is good. We'll get to there in the next video. Here's an example of using the next constructor. This is the constructor that takes two arrays. So I make an array of words, and then I make an array of definitions. These are very lame definitions. I just needed things that can line up just so we can test. So what's the story with this? Basically, I'm calling the second constructor, and it knows that because I'm sending it to arrays. It would be nice to see if when I print it out, if I could see that it added red, blue, and gray. And once yours is working, hopefully it'll be blue, gray, red in that order, and then the definitions will also be matching in that order. But honestly, you can, for the rest of my videos, I won't have that in there. You can make a lot of progress on the assignment without getting the alphabetization working. So feel free to, leave that to later if you want to. Again, I won't be able to print this yet, but that's fine. Here is the last one. I'm making a copy, and I'd like to print it out, but I can't. So this is eventually where we're going. But I can compile it, and I can see it compiles. I could even go and run it. I can just go right over here, and I can run the main method. But honestly, it won't tell us much. Nothing will get printed out, so I won't be able to get any information if it actually was successful. So in the next video, we're going to go make a toString method and some of the other accessor methods, and then you'll actually be able to do something like this where we do print out the array, the vocab list, and see what it contains. Okay, so third time's a charm. I hope it worked, and enjoy the accessor video, I guess. Bye.